Montana, 1997, September. The river was freezing, not cold, freezing, 42 degrees Fahrenheit. The kind of cold that hits your skin like needles. The kind that makes your lungs seize up when you breathe. Sylvester Stallone stood on the bank, looking at the water, dark, fast, angry. The current was strong, you could see it, the way the water churned, the way it moved around rocks, the way it seemed to swallow everything it touched. The director approached. His name was Frank Morrison, experienced, 20 years in the industry. Sly, we can do this in a tank, controlled environment, warm water. We add the current in post. Stallone shook his head. No, why not? Because the audience will know. They won't. Nobody will know. I'll know. Frank sighed. He'd been through this before, with other actors, other stunts. But Stallone was different. He wasn't just an actor. He was a force, and when he decided something, nothing could change his mind. Sly, this river is dangerous. The current is unpredictable. The temperature is unsafe. If something goes wrong, it won't. You don't know that. I've done worse. Not in water. Water is different. You can't fight water. Stallone looked at him. I'm doing it. Frank walked away. The scene was simple. Stallone's character gets shot, falls into the river. The current takes him. He struggles. He goes under. He comes up. He survives. 30 seconds of screen time, but 30 seconds that had to be real. The safety team was there. Divers in wetsuits, positioned downstream, ready to jump in if something went wrong. The medic was there, standing by, watching. The stunt coordinator, a woman named Sarah, came over. Mr. Stallone, I need you to listen very carefully. I'm listening. The current is 6 miles per hour. That doesn't sound fast, but in water, it's brutal. Once you're in, you won't be able to fight it. Don't try. Just keep your head up. Keep breathing. Let the current take you to the exit point. How far? 200 yards. And how long? 45 seconds. Maybe less if the current is strong. Stallone nodded. There are rocks, Sarah continued. Underwater. You won't see them. If you hit one, tuck your legs. Protect your head. Don't fight it. Okay. And one more thing. Sarah's voice was serious now. If you get into trouble, if you can't breathe, if you panic, signal, raise your arm. We'll pull you out. I won't need to. Mr. Stallone, everyone thinks that, until they're underwater, until they can't breathe. Then they signal. Stallone looked at the river, then back at Sarah. I won't signal. Sarah shook her head. You're all the same. What does that mean? It means you think you're invincible, until you're not. Stallone put on the costume. No wetsuit, just pants, a torn shirt, blood packs taped to his chest. The costume was thin. It would do nothing against the cold. The wardrobe supervisor approached. Sly, we can put a wetsuit under the costume. Nobody will see it. No, you'll freeze. That's the point. What? The character is dying. He's been shot. He's in freezing water. He should be freezing. But you're not the character. You're an actor. Stallone smiled. Am I? The supervisor walked away, shaking his head. The crew got into position. Cameras on the bank. Cameras on rafts in the water. Cameras on drones overhead. Frank was in the director's tent, watching monitors. This is insane, he muttered to his assistant. Should we stop it? How? The assistant said nothing. Frank pressed the radio. Sly, last chance. We can do this in a tank. Stallone's voice came through. Calm, steady. I'm ready. Frank closed his eyes. Okay, cameras rolling. And, action. It was violent. His entire body seized up. His lungs refused to work. His muscles locked. He couldn't breathe. For 3 seconds, he couldn't breathe. Then his body restarted, gasping, choking, sucking in air. But the current had him now. It pulled him, fast, faster than he thought. He tried to keep his head up, to see where he was going. But the water was in his face, in his eyes, in his mouth. He went under. The world went dark, green, murky. He kicked, pushed himself up, broke the surface, gasped, breathed. 1 second, 2 seconds. Then the current pulled him under again. This time, it was worse. He couldn't tell which way was up. The water spun him, tumbled him, like he was in a washing machine. His shoulder hit something, hard, a rock. Pain shot through his arm. But he couldn't think about that. He needed air. He kicked, harder, pushed up, nothing. He kicked again, still nothing. Panic started to creep in. No, not panic. Stay calm. Find the surface. He opened his eyes, underwater. Everything was blurry, dark. He saw light, above, faint. He swam toward it. His lungs were burning now, screaming for air. He reached, clawed at the water. Almost there, almost. Then something grabbed his leg. Not a person. The current. It pulled him down, deeper. He fought, kicked, twisted. But the water was stronger, always stronger. His lungs were on fire. His vision was going dark. He thought, I need to breathe. I need to breathe. I need to. And then, without thinking, he breathed. Water rushed in, into his mouth, his throat, his lungs. It was cold, burning cold. He coughed, choked, but there was no air, only water. He was drowning. On the bank, the crew was watching. At first, everything looked fine. Stallone in the water, moving with the current, going under, coming up, normal. Then Sarah saw it. He's not coming up. Frank looked at the monitor. What? He went under 15 seconds ago. He hasn't come up. Frank leaned forward. Where is he? I don't know. 20 seconds. Divers, get ready, Sarah said into the radio. 25 seconds. I don't see him, one of the camera operators said. Where the hell is he? Frank yelled. 30 seconds. Sarah didn't wait. Divers, go, now. 3 divers jumped into the water. Wetsuits, oxygen tanks, trained for this. They swam, fast, scanning the water. On the monitors, there was nothing. Just dark water, rocks, debris, no Stallone. 40 seconds. Frank stood up. Someone tell me where he is. One of the divers' voices came through the radio. Urgent. I see him. He's caught. Underwater. Get him out. I'm trying. Underwater. Stallone was still. He wasn't fighting anymore. He was sinking. His body felt heavy. His lungs full of water. His mind foggy. He thought about his kids. Their faces. Blurry now. Fading. He thought about Rocky. About the steps in Philadelphia. About the moment he won. He thought about all the risks he'd taken. All the stunts. All the times he'd said, I can do it. And he thought, this is how it ends. Not in a hospital. Not at home. Not surrounded by family. In a river. Drowning. Alone. Then he felt something. Hands. Grabbing him. Pulling. He wanted to fight. To help. But he couldn't. His body wouldn't respond. The hands pulled harder. Up. Light. Faint. Getting brighter. Then, suddenly, air. He broke the surface. Someone was holding him. A diver. I got him. Stallone coughed. Water came out. From his mouth. His nose. His lungs. He couldn't stop coughing. Choking. Gasping. But he was breathing. The diver swam toward the bank. Other divers helped. On the bank, the medic was ready. They pulled Stallone out of the water. Laid him on the ground. He was pale. Shivering. His lips were blue. The medic checked his pulse. His breathing. He's in shock. Get the blankets. Now. Someone brought blankets. Thermal. Silver. They wrapped him. 3 blankets. 4. But Stallone couldn't stop shivering. His teeth were chattering. His whole body was shaking. Sly, can you hear me? The medic asked. Stallone tried to speak. Nothing came out. He coughed. More water. Don't talk. Just breathe. Stallone closed his eyes. The ambulance arrived 20 minutes later. They loaded him in. Carefully. His core temperature was 89 degrees. Hypothermia. Severe. They gave him warm fluids. IV. Heated blankets. Frank climbed into the ambulance. His face was white. Sly, I'm so sorry. I should have stopped you. Stallone raised his hand. Weak. Shaking. Not your fault. His voice was barely a whisper. You almost died. I know. Why? Why did you do it? Stallone looked at him. His eyes were tired, but clear. Because I needed to know. Know what? If I could. Frank shook his head. You're crazy. Stallone closed his eyes. I know. The hospital was 30 minutes away. By the time they arrived, Stallone's temperature was up to 93 degrees. Still low, but better. They wheeled him into the ER. More warm fluids. More blankets. Oxygen. A doctor came over. Older. Experienced. Mr. Stallone, you came very close. Another minute in that water, and we'd be having a very different conversation. Stallone nodded. You had water in your lungs. We need to monitor you for secondary drowning. It's rare, but it can happen hours after the incident. How long? 24 hours. Minimum. I need to get back to set. The doctor stared at him. You almost died. You understand that, right? I know. And you want to go back. I need to finish. Mr. Stallone, your body has been through significant trauma. You can't just I'll finish. The doctor shook his head. You actors, you're all insane. That night, Stallone couldn't sleep. Not because of the pain. The pain was manageable, but because every time he closed his eyes, he was back in the water, drowning, sinking, dying. He'd replay it, over and over. The moment he breathed in water. The moment his lungs filled. The moment he thought it was over. His wife came in. She'd flown in from LA. She sat next to the bed. Her face was pale, her eyes red. You almost left me. I know. You almost left the kids. I know. Then why? Stallone looked at the ceiling. Because I needed to prove something. To who? To the director? To the crew? To the audience? To myself. She shook her head. You don't need to prove anything. You're Sylvester Stallone. You've already proven everything. No, he said, I haven't. What haven't you proven? That I'm not afraid. Of what? Of getting old. Of slowing down. Of becoming safe. She held his hand. You almost died, she said quietly. Is that what you wanted? To die proving you're not old? No, but I wanted to know I could still do it. That I'm still me. And who are you? Stallone thought about it. I don't know, he finally said. That's the problem. 3 days later, Stallone was back on set, against the doctor's orders, against his wife's wishes, against everyone's advice, but he was there. Frank approached him. Sly, we don't have to shoot this. We can rewrite the scene. You can fall into a shallow river, or we can cut it entirely. No, Sly, I'm finishing what I started. You almost died. I know, but I didn't. Next time you might. Stallone looked at the river. The same river. Dark, fast, cold. There won't be a next time. How do you know? Because I learned what I needed to learn, which is, Stallone turned to him. That I'm not invincible, that I can die, that I almost did, and that's a good thing, yes, because now I know the line between bravery and stupidity, and I crossed it. Frank stared at him. Are you saying you won't do it again? No, I'm saying next time I'll be smarter. They shot the scene again. Different this time. Shorter distance, slower current, safety divers closer. But Stallone still insisted on being in the water, still insisted on the cold, still insisted on the reality. When it was done, Frank came over. You got your shot. Happy? Stallone nodded. Yeah. Was it worth it? Stallone thought about the moment underwater, the moment he couldn't breathe, the moment he was drowning, the moment he thought he was going to die. Yes, he said. How? Because I know now, know what? That I can survive anything. But more importantly, I know I don't have to. Frank looked confused. For years, Stallone continued, I thought I had to keep proving myself, keep taking risks, keep pushing harder, because if I didn't, I wasn't me. And now I know that's not true. I don't have to drown to prove I'm brave. I don't have to die to prove I'm alive. Then what do you have to do? Stallone smiled. Just keep going. One step at a time. That's enough. Years later, in an interview, someone asked Stallone about the drowning incident. Do you regret it? Nearly dying in that river? Stallone thought for a moment. No, he said. I don't regret it. Why not? Because it taught me something I needed to learn. Which is? That there's a difference between being fearless and being reckless. I spent most of my career not knowing that difference. I do now. How would you define the difference? Stallone leaned back, thought carefully. Fearless means you feel the fear but you do it anyway because it matters. Reckless means you ignore the fear and do it anyway because you think you have to. And which one were you in that river? Reckless. And now I try to be fearless. It's harder. Because it means you have to actually think about what matters, about why you're taking the risk, not just that you can. Would you do it again? Jump into that river? Stallone smiled. Ask me when I'm 80. The movie was released. It did okay. Not great. Not terrible. Critics were mixed. Audiences were lukewarm. But Stallone didn't care. Because the movie wasn't the point. The river wasn't the point. Even surviving wasn't the point. The point was the lesson. The lesson that almost killed him. That you can push yourself to the edge. You can test your limits. You can risk everything. But eventually you have to ask yourself, why? Not why you can, but why you should. And if the answer is just because I can, then you're not being brave, you're being stupid. Stallone learned that in the river, underwater, drowning, dying. He learned that there's a difference between proving you're alive and actually living. And that difference is everything. The question is not whether you're brave enough to take the risk. The question is, are you wise enough to know which risks matter? Are you strong enough to walk away from the ones that don't? Are you honest enough to admit when you're being reckless instead of fearless? Stallone found his answers in a freezing river in Montana. 42 degrees, 6 miles per hour current, 200 yards of dark water. He went in thinking he was invincible. He came out knowing he wasn't, and that knowledge saved his life, not in the river, but in every moment after.